Amp Unit, a little impromptu video on this Thursday, September 12th, 2019. You see, as I watched Ember Moon eat another loss this past Tuesday on SmackDown, I couldn't help but feel mixed on the situation. On the one hand, I was happy for Bayley. On the other hand, I couldn't help but feel criminally sad for how low on the totem pole Ember has dropped. But then it got me thinking, was Ember Moon really ever on that totem pole? Did Vince McMahon ever really put her on that pole and give her a chance and an opportunity? It's rhetorical. The answer I came up with was, of course not. But we could be here the next hour talking about 20 to 30 superstars that Vince doesn't give any real chance or opportunity to. But I've narrowed it down. I wanted to spend at least 15 to 20 minutes on this Thursday talking about the 5 individuals that I feel have been the most criminally and tragically misused and misutilized. Now, before I even get to Ember Moon, I want to get to somebody who's been not even seen unless it was on the side of a milk carton with the title missing. And her name is Asuka. And you can throw Kyrie Sane in there. You could do a 2-for-1 on my first on the list. A 2-for-1. Asuka and Kyrie. Even though Kyrie is newer, in the past 6 months, she debuted around WrestleMania time. Asuka's been there for a minute. So that's why I put her in much bolder print. You see, if you exclude Smackville Live, which was a Saturday Night Network special that about 76 people watched, Asuka and Kyrie, since WrestleMania, have only been seen 6 times in a television appearance. 6 times in the last 6 months, you have seen Asuka and Kyrie. And the last 2 of those 6 appearances were losses to Bliss and Cross. I want you to think about that. Kyrie alone, even though she's only been here 6 months-ish, but Asuka has been used 6 times on TV in the last 6 months. No championships, no accolades, no big wins. In fact, the last 2 simplistic losses to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. It is clear, unfortunately and tragically and criminally to say this, it is clear Vince McMahon has given up on Asuka and Kyrie, because to the casual fan or the diehard fan, it's going to take a lot for us to now believe in them again and look at them as the winners that we know they were and should be. Vince would have to work double time with his creative staff to come up with a way to get us invested in Asuka and Kyrie again. If you're the super fan that knows what the fuck these ladies can do, you're gonna be on them from the jump and with them. But how the fuck are you gonna get that casual back into believing them? How are you gonna get that fair weather diehard that's moved on to the next to believe in Asuka and Kyrie again? All that is hearsay anyway. All that is just wishful thinking about the fans jumping on board with Asuka and Kyrie once again. Let's just come up with the really wild idea that Vince McMahon becomes a fan of Asuka and Kyrie and what they are capable of. Let's start with that. Because until that happens, Asuka and Kyrie will be seen another 6 times in the next 6 months. And that may be being generous. Vince McMahon is not a fan of Asuka and Kyrie, and it is clear Vince McMahon has given up on Asuka and Kyrie. Fucking tragic. But the list goes on. Perhaps even more tragically. Next on my list is the aforementioned Ember Moon. She just had her first big match on the WWE main roster at SummerSlam. After a year and a half on the roster. A year and a half on the roster, she just recently got her big match. Not a big storyline, no, far from it. But at least a meaningful match, or so we thought. But it's Vince, so of course he found a way to make her look like a clown, even during her highest time on the roster. Going into SummerSlam, they had her lose. They had her lose going into SummerSlam in a tag match to Alexa and Nikki. So making Asuka and Kyrie look like bums to Alexa Bliss wasn't enough. They now had to make Ember Moon do the job to Alexa, but it's Ember Moon that's going into the big championship match at SummerSlam, so why would Alexa need that moment? Mind-bogglingly stupid. Befuddling to the highest degree. But going into her big match, Ember loses. What better way to show you're worthy of a championship match at one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year than a loss to Alexa Bliss? Then, of course, she loses at SummerSlam too, to Bayley, which I'd be okay with if, yes, I said if, they had something for Ember afterwards for the future and going forward. But after a year and a half, she finally got her name out there. Roll with it, right? Why not? Even if she's going to lose at SummerSlam, roll with it. She finally has some name recognition to the casual fan. But of course not. A loss headed into SummerSlam, a loss at SummerSlam, and her last 2 TV appearances post-SummerSlam have been losses. One, 2 days after SummerSlam to Charlotte. Then she was gone for a month. It was clear Vince just had her go to SummerSlam, do the deed to Bayley. Then Vince had her stick around so she could do the deed to Charlotte. Then Vince had nothing for her, so he threw her to Asuka and Kyrie and all of them at catering for a month. And then Vince was like, we need to throw somebody, do a job to Bayley. Let's bring back Ember, have a SummerSlam rematch with the same result. So post-SummerSlam, Ember Moon lost to Charlotte, she was gone for a month, and then she just came back Tuesday to do another job to Bayley. It is clear, just like Asuka and already Kyrie, that Vince McMahon has given up and is not a fan and will not give a chance and opportunity to Ember Moon. Again, the words of the day, tragic and criminal. But we're not even done. Number 3 on my list, Andrade. This is a guy who had a chance to be something special in that company. He's got the look, the presence, the skill, and on top of that, the icing on the cake, he's got the mouthpiece in Zelina Vega. No reason why this guy isn't a bona fide star in that company, aside from the fact that Vince just doesn't see it. Vince just doesn't like him. Now, Andrade, unlike the ladies, I should say, Andrade actually gets TV time. That's right, since the Royal Rumble this year, the beginning of the year, since the Rumble, Andrade has had 27 TV/pay-per-view appearances. 27 appearances on TV/pay-per-view. That's good, right? Not so fast. You see, in those 27 TV/pay-per-view appearances, Andrade has lost 20 of those matches. Let me say that again. Andrade has lost 20 of his last 27 TV appearances. How is any fan, casual or diehard, supposed to take him seriously ever again? We've already taken inventory subconsciously that the guy's a fucking loser. Now again, the super fan that knows what's up, knows the deal, like the Amplified Man and a lot of you, we're easily gonna jump on the Andrade Express because we know Andrade's got the shit, the goods, he's got what it takes to deliver. We know this, just like we won't leave Asuka's Express. We'll be on board with the Ember Express always because we know what they're capable of. We're just waiting for it to actually happen. We're waiting for Vince to see it and give them the chance. So we're not gonna jump off that Express. But there are diehard fans, even though they're diehard, they're fair weather. They will move on to the next. Those are the fans that want to see Ali get championships. And then a few months later, they're on to Buddy Murphy. And in a few months, they might be on to Tony Nese. And who the fuck knows? The attention span of a 4-year-old. Always on to the next. 27 appearances on TV/pay-per-view for Andrade, and 20 of them he's flat on his back looking up at the lights. And there's some people that have no problem with BC. He'll be fine. All it takes is one good push. But if you want to believe in this shit, you want to have a sense of realism with some logic, some common sense, I mean, is that so hard to ask? So much to ask for? I want to really believe in these superstars. It's like the CM Punk thing, going to UFC and getting tooled on 2 straight fights in a row, his only 2, and probably forever will be his only 2. Yeah, BNC, at least he gave it his try, man. He went for his dreams, and this is that. Of course, nobody's bashing that. Where a lot of us are saying is if he ever returns, which he will one day, to pro wrestling, you're asking people to now believe that he can beat up people like Roman and Strowman, Lesnar, and who the fuck knows who Vince throws at him. Or if he goes to fucking AEW. Actually, he could possibly beat everybody there. But the point is, you want me to now believe that he could take out these fucking Goliaths when he's getting tooled on in 60 seconds in real fights. I want believability. I want a sense of realism. Up next, I wish I could just stop on Andrade. I could go an hour just on how criminal it is to Andrade, but I gotta go on with the list. Number 4 on my list, Apollo Crews. This is a guy who's got the fucking talent. Now, yes, he would need a mouthpiece. He doesn't have that charisma or that personality that would captivate him, or catapult him, I should say. Captivate us, but catapult him up to that next level of success. He would need a mouthpiece. But you could say that about 90% of that roster. They have the skill. They have the talent. Their big problem, most of them on that roster, they don't have the personality or the charisma. Or they have the personality and the charisma of a fucking grapefruit. But yeah, you give Apollo a damn good mouthpiece. The guy's got a presence, a look, the skills, the talent. For Apollo, this was just depressing to go over for me, to actually go over these statistics. Since WrestleMania, in fact, let's include WrestleMania, why not? Apollo has had 9 TV appearances. And out of those 9 for Apollo, he has lost 8. He is 1 out of his last 9. How is that even possible? Ironically and tragically, you guys ready for this? That one win, his last win was mid-July over Andrade. You can't make that shit up. That's WWE for you, man. In the process of killing one person, they'll give one person who's already been getting killed, they'll put him over the other person to kill them even more, and then that person will begin their process to be killed just as much as the aforementioned person. Make sense? Exactly, it doesn't. That's WWE's booking. To harp on Apollo Crews would just be criminal in its own right. I want to move on from that because, again, that's just depressing. 1 out of 9 since WrestleMania. Number 5 on my list is Drew McIntyre. This is a guy since Mania, or again, just like Apollo, let's count Mania too. Why not? They could use any statistic they can fucking get at this point. Then again, I'm sure Drew would not want WrestleMania fucking counted because that's just another negative statistic. Because since WrestleMania, and again, including WrestleMania, McIntyre has had 22 TV appearances / pay-per-view appearances. 22! And has lost 15 out of those 22. I'll say it again because I know you're probably not believing it or it's not fucking being comprehended. Drew McIntyre has lost 15 out of his last 22 TV appearances. Drew McIntyre. We talk about Andrade having the presence, the look, the skills to be something. Apollo, Asuka, Ember. You got someone like Drew who we all knew, not just thought, we knew he was going to be huge on that main roster. No way you could fuck that up. 7 wins out of 22 since WrestleMania. That's basically the whole year. The bulk of the year anyway. Forget about 50-50 booking. 50-50 booking is bad enough. For those of you that don't know what 50-50 booking is, that's basically when you win 2 weeks, then you lose 3 weeks. Then you win 3 weeks, then you lose a week. Win 2 weeks, lose 4 weeks, and it all equals out to about 50-50 booking. It's how you just never create a superstar. It's how Vince keeps everybody even keel, and in the process, it's actually ruining his company. That's 50-50 booking. This is more tragic than 50-50 booking. Just like Andrade, just like Apollo, Drew McIntyre, this is worse than 50-50 booking. I don't know what that equals out to. My math skills as far as percentage on the dime for 15 out of 22, it's not coming to me right now, but I'm sure it's really tragic. 15 out of 22 has been lost. How is that fathomable? Possible? I don't blame anyone that can't comprehend that. When you look at a talent like Drew, again, I could be here a whole hour talking about another 20 superstars that we feel are just misused and misutilized. But that's my 5 list. In fact, it was really 6 because I added Kyrie in with Asuka. In any promotion, right? If you're starting up a promotion, right? Forget just trying to compete with Vince. Maybe you're like AEW. We just want to be here. We just want to play with everyone. Even if you're starting just a fucking romp-em-stomp-em promotion, right? If you had talents like Andrade, Drew, McIntyre, Asuka, Ember, Kyrie, they would be the flag bearers of your promotion, am I correct? They would be at the top of your game, your promotion. In WWE, they're an afterthought. They're placed in irrelevancy, aka catering. Or they're just not used at all. Send them home. Give them a paycheck. If we need them to do the job, we'll call. You wonder why Neville walked away the first time. The only time from WWE. Well, he just walked. You wonder why Sasha Banks just walked. You wonder why Luke Harper said, fuck this, I'm worth more than this. He walked. You wonder why people step up and voice their frustrations like Tyler Breeze and basically begging to go back to NXT. And Rusev saying, I'm getting the fuck out of here, I don't want to do this anymore. And Zack Ryder and so many others. Zack Ryder, who had moments where he could have been something if Vince kept pushing, and he would just bring Ryder just like he did Rusev right back. He gave him 2 inches and took him back 19 feet every time. If you do that enough times, there's no way you can gain traction. You wonder why people are voicing up, and again, Seth Rollins gets pissed off. We all should be company men. You gotta remember, you're not employees. If you're an employee, yeah, you stand up for your company just as much as yourself. You gotta make your company look good. These are independent contractors. What that means is they have to look out for themselves before the company. Independent contractor means you have a skill, a trade, and that company wants your services. But when you sign on for a contract with that company, it's not forever. You'll eventually need to get work with other companies. So you have to always make sure that your name and your likeliness is likeliness? Yes, there you go. Likeliness. Everything about you is pristine. So that other companies do want you. And if one company, you're an independent contractor and this one company is ruining you, you have to step up. And step up for yourself. So people like Rollins can say, hey, you should be company men and stop complaining. That's because he's at a top spot in the company. It's easy to say shit and talk down to people below you when you're in a top spot. But be careful, because those same people you saw on the way up, you'll be seeing them on the way down. They're independent contractors. They have to look out for themselves. And when shit's not going right, speak up or get the fuck out. But these are their careers on the line. They're not WWE employees. They're just not. If they're employees, then I agree. You can't really complain to a certain degree. You have to make the company look good, and you just have to do what the company tells you to do. But they're not. They're not employees. They're called independent contractors. It's a different thing, guys. Trust me, I've done both. When you're a contractor, you have a skill and a trade. You have to make sure that everybody around the world, company-wise, wants your services if you don't have a job one day. But if Vince is ruining you consistently, who the fuck's gonna want you afterwards? Oh yeah, you're just Adam Rose from WWE. Yeah, you danced around with lemon heads and rosebuds, right? Oh, you're fucking No Way Jose. You had the conga line, right? Just saying, guys. I don't blame them at all for speaking out in their own frustrations about where they are in this company that has them contracted. Because they know WWE is not the be-all end-all for their lives. They're going to want to move on. You know, when Vince throws them to the pasture when they get a little older, or when Vince just wants to say you're fired, then what? They're independent contractors. They're going to have to find other work. But if Vince has totally ruined you, then your trade and your skill doesn't mean shit. They shouldn't complain. They're WWE employees. No, they're not. Know the difference. That's it for now, guys. Just wanted to send that. I just wanted to give you some of these facts and statistics that usually when I do these type of videos, I know it blows all of our minds, me going over it again and you guys hearing it for the first time. But I feel these videos are necessary. It's the videos that I'm sure WWE doesn't want me putting out there to the world, but they're videos that need to be portrayed to the world because I think we're always constantly on to the next, and Vince wants us to forget about what happened last week, the month before, or last year. I don't think it's good to forget what happened in the past because it shows us where this company is at and what they're thinking. It shows us what Vince is thinking. When you have talents like I just named and they're not being given anything at all, it's tragic, man. And sometimes we need these statistics to remind us of that. The Amplified, man. I'll see you guys this weekend for the podcast. We'll go over and preview Clash of Champions for this Sunday, WWE's next pay-per-view. We'll go over every match, and I'll give you my honest thoughts on each match. As harsh and amplified as it may be. The Amplified, man. Go and kick the rest of this Thursday's ass, guys. For now, ow! Check you later.